Has any human being ever done this, you guys, or ever talked about this? Can one web page, not one website, just one web page on one website, right? Can you have one web page that really makes you $1 million a year in passive income? Today, we're going to talk about that. How's it going, guys? Awesome, Mayo, Ramsey, KO, BigRia.com. Real estate investors, we are building the world's largest organization of special needs business owners and real estate investors. I've been remembering this. We're also building the world's clearest instructions on how to get to 30 grand a month. Anyone create a passive income of 30 grand a month. Today, we're talking about $1 million a year passive income from one web page. How do you do this? How do you make this happen? Is this the $1 million page experiment? So I had this idea a while ago. I've talked about this a few different times. How do you go out and set up one web page and make $1 million a year? I thought one thing when we started, I wasn't really clear on how it would happen, but now we've got multiple pages doing this. We've got a bunch of heroes doing this, all kinds of success stories around this. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to set this up from zero. I want to get rid of the LCs right now. And I want to tell you it takes about 2 to 3 years. Let's say 3 years it's going to take. So I'm being like, oh my gosh, awesome. Oh yeah, it's right. It's awful. It sucks. It's terrible. You should quit now. We started doing this for fun. Now we have multiple pages doing this. This is a simple process, but let me weed out the LC. This will take 2 to 3 years. Perfect. Examples. So here are some examples of doing this. If you've seen these pages, some of these pages we're in the middle of changing now. We started building like YouTube channels for other people, which is something else, a whole lesson on its own, by the way. Check out our YouTube channel and how now we're getting a lot more traffic, but it used to be, we had like 7 subscribers in the first 90 days. We had videos up that were getting like 5, 10, 12 views, but we go over exactly how to make $10, $20, $30,000 a month with a tiny YouTube channel that gets almost no traffic. And there's a whole process that we've made videos on that. We've been totally transparent as we were doing it, how we were doing it, how to work on money calls, how long it takes. It takes usually at least 6 to 12 months, usually around 18 months to get that going. We have a few pages now that we're changing because as we build these for other people, we probably have like 15, 20 pages. Let me be clear. This is pretty interesting. I'm saying $1 million a year, although none of our pages have actually produced that. So what am I talking about? Awesome. The fuck are you talking about? Well, they're on the way to doing that, and they're doing it pretty aggressively now. It's really, you can shorten that timeline, that 2 to 3 years. You can shave that way down. Although I shouldn't say that until the LC is totally gone, right? But there's things you can do. We're now in the process of changing some of these pages. So you're going to get to see us build some of these pages from zero, and you're going to see these pages go. You're going to be able to track the momentum as it goes. One of the reasons why, like the property management page, the reason why it's not a clickable link is because I made a video about the people page, the BigRia.com/people. I never mentioned that page until it was already mature. It was getting about 3 hits a day, but we were getting about whatever I said in that video, like 1 call or 2 calls. It was like 1 or 2 calls every 48 hours. These were money calls, right? That means that about 1 out of 5 people, 1 out of 6 people, about 20% roughly on average, 15, 20% were calling. They were going to the page. The only way to get to that page is from a link we sent you or somebody else sent you, or you type it in. So it's a very high quality traffic. So when you have high quality traffic like that and you're getting very small amounts of traffic, like 2 to 3 hits a day, any disturbance to that and your numbers are really off. And we're all about, as you guys know, tracking stuff and making sure, is my skin stuff? What are you pointing at? We good on my skin stuff? We're all about tracking and making sure that we can create predictable wins and predictable results. So this is a huge deal for us. We want to make sure that before there should be that's why the channels that we worked on for other people, other states, other markets, we didn't even mention those. We will later on eventually after the traffic stabilizes, but we want to make sure that we can say, listen, if you have no external traffic, here's where your numbers should be over the course of 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, right? So the contract page, we have one page we're putting up. We're going to redo this now. That's every possible contract a real estate investor could use. One of them is a property management page. That page is produced, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 grand in a week sometimes. The wholesaling page, this is another page that we're going to redo. Right now, the 2 ones you can check out that we are driving traffic to that's okay to go is the motivated seller page. Just go to Big Ria, the motivated seller page. Another one is a people page, the BigRia.com/people. The most profitable of those, the motivated seller page makes good money too. I was asking about how many deals we probably got, maybe 7 or so appointments that were completed, and it's usually about $15,000, $30,000 per appointment. So a couple $100,000 over the last week or so that was made by different people on our team, or maybe the last 2 weeks or so from the motivated seller page. How does that make money? We don't sell anything. I'm going to talk about that today. The BigRia.com/people page. How does that make money? You don't sell anything. I'm going to talk about that today as well. But the first thing to keep in mind is it's just like Steve Jobs said, right? The best products, it's a quote that he always says you should really keep in mind. The best products are people that are they came up with something that they and their friends wanted to use. That's ultimately what all this stems around. When we started the people page, the idea was you want to have a hook, a solid mission. The idea, did we talk about this later on the other page? Is this coming up? Okay, so 7 steps to building this part of your Nobody Mountain. This is not the Nobody Mountain. This is one part of it. Remember, a Nobody Mountain is something that's just like an accumulation of effort effort, input that no one's willing to do. Solid mission hook. You guys, you're amazing, man. Exactly what I was looking for. A solid mission hook. This will help you. Who will be helped, and an epic resource for any all targets. That's what you want to establish. Who's going to be helped? So when we start the bigria.com, the people page, basically, anybody that wants to do any investing in the Midwest, anywhere in the Midwest, basically. Are we good? No, you're pointing to I thought you were pointing to, it could be just sweat, but I don't know if it's bleeding or anything. Bleeding is, I want to make sure that we get rid of that stuff. So if we have the same, okay, so you want to have a solid hook or solid mission. This is what energizes people, gets them really jazzed about it. So when we have the people page, this was an idea that we want to have anybody who wants to do any investing in the Midwest or in Indianapolis, they're going to have a list of people that they can go to, and they can refer to get everything from property management to lawyers to whatever that you need to get done. But the most important part of that, I made a video at that time when it started picking up momentum. I was really amazed at how quickly, when we started that page, we didn't know it was going to make, we didn't really know that there was an obvious way to make money with it, but there is, and that is that people just call you from it because they want you to if they need help with an attorney or they need help with whatever, they'll go ahead and call you because like, man, these people know what they're doing. Let me help them and see what else they have. We just had one of the, this wasn't even a record contact, but a guy who'd come in, he had come into the world about 48 hours, from the time I'm talking about, 48 hours, right? About 48 hours. He'd watched 6 hours of videos in that 48 hours, and he has 40 properties. He's been working with 4 or 5 agents, maybe 10 agents, let's say 5 to 10 agents and property managers. He said, I want to get rid of everyone. I want you guys to either sell or manage all 40 of my single family residential houses, right? How does that happen? Because you have a compliance curve in place, you have resources in place, and we also called him. We made sure some of our heroes made sure he got help. So I made that video. You should go check out that video on how this one page, it was a quote, it was a testimonial, basically how this one page is making me 15 to 20 grand a week or something like that, or 10 to 15 grand a week. This, the people page will clear over $1 million this year. That's the first page that is definitely doing that. The motivated seller page, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the hook here, the mission, why it's so important for all of us to do this is when somebody comes into our world, if you want to get involved with Indiana real estate of any kind, if you want to get involved with any type of Midwest real estate, you get in touch with us. We're not just going to send you the page, oh, check this out and go there. No, we're going to follow up with you and make sure that whoever you contacted, who was it, how did that conversation go? Would you recommend them? Should we keep them on that page as a recommended resource? How did the entire interaction go? How did that fit into your larger acquisition plan? And we're going to make sure you go from A to Z and make sure that you actually acquire an asset and you do it correctly. Even if we don't make any money, we do that with everybody. So now there's not that many people there at first. Right now it's growing. It's a lot more. But at that time that I made that video, it was like 3 to 5 hits a day. And by the way, you can check all this stuff out. If you just go to like Social Go, you go to a site, you can see how small traffic, tiny traffic can actually create a pretty high amount. And you can see the kind of traffic. It's not that they clicked on from a referring link. They actually had to type it in, bigria.com/people. And these pages become something that becomes a useful resource. People use it now. They pass it around. They say, hey, check out this page. Also, if you need any help, just give Anna a call. Her number's on there. Just send her a text and she'll help you with whatever you want. And that's exactly what's happened. Any possible help that you need with any kind of real estate transaction in Indiana or the Midwest. And now people outside areas, other people, the reason why I've expanded to areas isn't because she's doing that. It's because other people are saying, hey, I know how great of a job you're doing for someone there. I want you to do the same thing here in my market. And she made a separate video about how if you want me to do the same thing in your market, I can. And now I think it's like 4 or 5 different states that she's doing deals or building teams in, doing the same thing with the people page. This is why we stopped working with these other brokers that we were getting paid 50, 100 grand to set these YouTube channels up with. These guys were getting paid quite a bit of money to set these, to rebuild this stuff. I thought, you know what? As we look at how easy it is to set up and how much of a nobody mountain it is, we need to do it on our own. So we've got the Indiana one up and we're going to these other markets. This is why people like in Ohio and Minnesota, Michigan, it's funny because they're emailing us. They're like, listen, you guys are calling us up saying, where are you guys going next? Please don't come here, because it's like we're going to destroy it wherever we go. We run that area. It's really easy to do. And if you're hungry and you add a hook, like it's a mission to what you're doing, we're going to create a page where anybody, whatever challenge someone has, we're going to make sure that they get connected with a solution, with someone who can provide that solution. And we're going to follow up with them incessantly to make sure their problem gets solved. That becomes something people get energized about, right? It's just like the motivated seller page. We want to have one page. The biggest question on people's minds with real estate is, how do I find motivated sellers? We want one page, the single most epic, amazing resource to provide the most comprehensive A to Z, unheard of, groundbreaking, revolutionary ways of finding motivated sellers and how that fits into a strategy of creating 10 to 30 grand a month in passive income. And if you go to that motivated seller page, it is epic. It is amazing. It's everything I just said. It's unheard of. The stuff we're doing there, nobody on the planet is doing. It's all stuff, mostly stuff that we invented. Some of the stuff is obvious, like calling for sale by owners, right? But the other stuff, but the way we do it is in a way that's unheard of, even basic stuff. And that is a page that was like the number 2, number 3 thing on Google, but Google motherfuckers are, we got this issue with Google for taking our number. They want us to take our number and our website down. So then they move us down. Where's the best place to hide a dead body? The second page of Google. Sometimes they put us on the second page of Google. Can you believe it? You go through those other resources for motivated sellers, we're definitely the top. The number one of the top most competitive words on the internet is real estate investing. Within that, the number one most competitive term is motivated sellers. We will be at the top eventually again, but we're building this page. That's the whole point of that page. So here's what happens. Here's how we make money with that page. This is a huge secret now. My gosh, I love you guys. How good am I? Nobody's going to do this for you. It's a huge secret. So in our email sequence, and I went through this in our copywriting class, how one email can make you, $100,000 a year consistently. So one of the things we say to our realtors, let's say that you're a realtor, right? And you meet me for the first time. Now, if you can get over my good looks eventually, which that's a tall order, but if you can do that, eventually you just think I'm like a regular guy, right? Just an extremely good looking, extremely good looking, person. Beside from that, I'm normal and extremely, brilliant as well. It's like, it's weird. And it's like hard to get over my good looks. And then it's like, how do you get over how smart he is? And it's like, it's very difficult to do. If you can get over both of those things, there's nothing, you're going to be like, well, it's just like an ordinary, right? Just an ordinary person. However, if I send you a quick email and I'm saying, hey, sometimes I work with realtors, right? I'm talking to you, I say, sometimes I work with realtors about on growing their business. It's something I've been doing for a while. I used to be a realtor myself. And so if you ever want to talk about that, just let me know. And you're like, yeah, I definitely want to talk about that. Well, okay. And I send you a quick little email. I send you the motivated seller page. You're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. They call up like, hey, you didn't tell me who you were. You didn't tell me like all, right? They're like, oh my gosh, they want to, and we say, well, one of the things we do, and that's if you talk to me, if you talk to Anna, anyone, our other heroes, they do the same thing. They say, well, one of the things we do is we take one of those models and we help realtors introduce them. And we only pick, a couple of realtors in a given market, but we help them introduce these and we incorporate them into their business. There's a couple ways to do it. Usually it's at least 15, 30. I don't know. There's different models, different variables that matters on a few little, things that'll determine the price. But usually it's like 30 grand up front. And then we get, 10, 20% of the residuals on that as well. Because we're creating equity, right? As I always talk about. And we tell the people the same thing. Look, we want to create equity and you should create equity, right? And not just in the properties, but in the overall business. So we have that first, they can go to that page, but then we have that second or third. It's usually about 2 to 3 conversations. First it's with them, then with them and their team. And then we have that final conversation where we complete that transaction. And then we are basically partnering with this person and helping them put a model in place. So that's one of the ways that the motivated seller page makes money invisibly. So when these guys have models put in place, nobody knows, like in their market, we say, look, nobody's going to know what's going on right now because we don't advertise this. We don't even, you've seen the page. So we're not going to be out there. We don't sell this. We don't hype it up. There's not even a sales page for it. There's only the email and then the actual conversation that we have. So that's one way that we make money from that motivated seller page. There's a few other ways, but that's there's about 2 or 3 big money makers because those conversations, we want to schedule about 5 to 10 of those appointments about every 2 weeks or so. I'm not sure. I haven't checked with the policies, but basically almost all those convert because the first appointment, if it's not your jam, it's not your thing, no problem. But usually if we have that second or third appointment and, I'd say 80, 90% of those cases, they know what the numbers are. They know what the money looks like. They know what we're doing and they want a specific model. And they're like, you know what? I want all these other models too. That we can talk about later. Usually it'll be their broker we talk about with to introduce these different models to different brokers. The point being though, that page, this is how if you had that page, we have a whole bunch of heroes that are doing this. But if you were doing that, you could go ahead and actually produce those. You could go ahead and close those deals yourself, make an extra 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. So that page itself is producing $1 million a year. So is the bigre.com/people. I don't think it's been a full year yet that it's been producing like that. Either one of them. The people page, I don't think I mentioned until a few months ago. Whenever I made that video, that's the first time it was mentioned. The motivated seller page was only mentioned recently as well. That's why we never wanted, because we want to make sure that when we're getting small amounts of traffic. Basically, the only way you get to that motivated seller page is if we sent you there, right? And part of what we can do once you get there is we can track how many times, which video is the most popular, which websites, which links, which models are the most popular. We can direct people and talk to people based on that. But we also have a good idea. When you get like Google traffic like we have right now, you get a lot more views, but it's not necessarily a lot more business. Like almost all the business we have, none of it is coming from organic search. You know what I mean? Or I guess there is now it's happening, but when if like when Google shuts us down, because as soon as we get to like 500 to 1,000 hits, Google will have that conversation about taking our number off and our email off and our website off, and we don't do that, and then they cut our traffic down. They've got so much power, That's why I'm going to get to this in a second, but that's why you don't want to rely on Google. But that's one of the reasons why we didn't use the motivated seller page, because all the traffic there, I wanted to keep it controlled and measured. We know exactly how much traffic is coming there. We know exactly where it's coming from. It's coming from individual conversations and follow-up emails to the same people we just talked to. And that's how we had a very high compliance rate. So by having a mission and a hook, by saying this is the most epic page for motivated sellers, we're going to be the single greatest resource for one of the hottest topics, the hottest keywords on the internet, and the hottest search term within that industry, motivated sellers within real estate. We want to rank number one. We want to have the most comprehensive and robust and anti-fragile resource on the planet. By just calling it that, it's like, that's a high frequency thought. People get excited, energized about that. That's why we got so much brilliance on there. So that's one thing. Have a mission, have a hook, something, do the equivalent of that in your industry. I want to show you something. This is a guy named Neil Patel. I said real estate investing is one of the most difficult keywords. What is the most difficult keyword? What is it? SEO, search engine optimization, obviously, right? How do you rank on Google? Searching that would be the hardest thing to rank for. Who is the guy at the very top of that pile? His name's Neil Patel. Fucking foreigners, right? This guy, check this guy's page out. This is it. This is what is SEO, okay? You want to talk about a nobody mountain. This is somebody we worked with a couple years ago to put this together and what they worked on. So I'm just scrolling down now. Check this out. I'm going to keep scrolling. Just look at this. Look at this page. This is one page, right? SEO marketing practices, content, ethics, quality, intent, freshness. This is all good stuff. None of this is filler or bullshit. Elements of keyword selection. This is a free post anyone can see. Just go to neilpatel.com or just type in what is SEO. This is what comes up. Multi-page, multiple links, downloads, examples, screenshots, PDFs. Here's headlines, case studies. And who else do you link out to, by the way? You want to link out to reputable places as well. URL slugs. He talks about site architecture, easy to crawl, duplicate content, avoiding that, page speed. All of these are things that you need. I've been scrolling this whole time I'm talking. This is a free thing, right? You don't need to enter your email or anything. Then I keep going. By the way, as you type in SEO, the other page that you're going to find is called QuickSprout. What's QuickSprout? It's one of his other companies. This guy. Okay, now look at some of these comments. Even if the man is determined to stay in touch of quantity, quality, and dynamics of Neil Patel's blog post, that is simply humanly impossible. This is a guy saying, I did not edit this, by the way. This is a guy saying basically to do what you're saying is impossible. These are people who notice how insane, how epic this post is, and like, my gosh, man. We worked with them on this, I think in like 2017, 2018, and just add to it over time, just add to it, because this is how you build a nobody mountain. Here's some other, and look, he replies to each of them. I would aim for quality and quantity. Long post structured well. Do not feel long. What an answer to the how long should it be? Just look at some of these comments. Neil's the best. I've used this site to develop my like submarine. Thanks for the information. I believe from the bottom of my soul, Neil's the ultimate SEO. I've read A to Z this content. Helpful with a clear picture. Really helpful with a clear picture. I also follow his blogs when I feel trouble related SEO. Big thanks to Neil for your helpful. This is the kind of shit you want people saying about what you have, whatever you're into, right? True Matilla. I just started SEO. It's been a long time since I'm reading Neil's great stuff though. Blogs have too much traffic. He's been creating blogs that have much traffic already. It's not helping. It is not helping who has just started. We would love to see detailed blog for zero visitors website. Okay, so that guy's kind of saying, but by the way, he just talked about that, so I don't know. I have plenty of blogs for beginners websites. Some months I came across okay, so this guy is not going to be a client of his. What he's talking about is true. The whole page was about what to do if you have zero people. Thank you, Neil, for this crisp SEO guide. This is just amazing stuff, man. This is exactly how you build a nobody mountain. I bring that up though. I say that for this reason. If you were going to search SEO, right? If you were going to search how to do SEO stuff. Okay, right. Okay, so I say that because if you were going to search SEO, who would you listen to? Right? Somebody who's gone through that amount of work, created that insane depth of resources, right? That page becomes its own nobody mountain. Now, I can tell you that page alone or the other guide they had is producing at least, the last time we checked, about $500,000 a week. Now, he has a team of people. He's not making all that. And basically, you go to that page, you enter your website if you want, and you get an audit. Also, they have one of the things we incorporated with some of the stuff they were doing, their SEO people, is we did the same thing with the realtors. So we would have conversations with regular people and regular businesses and industries. Then we'd say, oh, by the way, here's a post we have. If you want to get free traffic from Google, let us know. We can talk about that. They go to the page like, oh my gosh, they set the appointments and they convert. It's, I think like a $10,000, $15,000. It's around the same price point. My point is that this one page, by working on it over years and years and years, adding to it, you end up creating something that's just absolutely gargantuan. So think about this. Whatever topic you have, real estate or whatever, table of contents, every possible resource, downloadable, checklist, worksheet, Excel sheets, whatever you want. Look at the Motivated Seller page. Look at the BigRio page. The BigRio.com/people page is a little misleading because it looks like it's easy. Just list a bunch of names and numbers. That's not what it is. Everybody on that page asks to be put on that page. Also, when you go there, we follow up with everybody to make sure that you get it solved. It's the second part of that, the part that you don't see. It's like the iceberg. It's all the stuff beneath it that you don't see. That's why people love that page. That's why people love contacting us, different people on our team and getting their problem solved. So here's another thing to do to just add to this one page, right? Start packing it with interviews. Go search whatever your keyword is. Look at the 3 to 5 pages on Google. Interview all those people, because here's what happens when people search property management Ohio, for example, and they find this guy and they find someone they want to work with. They're going to search their name. What's the first thing that's going to come up? The interviews that they did with you. So do these video interviews and stack that page so it has interview after interview after interview. Check out, we're about to do this right now. This is the exact checklist that we're using right now. So you're going to see us do this live with a couple new pages. And the 3 are authority. So there's 3 ways to get authority. You want to use all 3 of these, but the one way reality is I'm smarter than you. You need to demonstrate that and have testimonials for that. But what if you don't have that stuff? Then skip that. There's the second thing is I know people smarter than you, right? This is where you're doing interviews. I'm going to interview this guy. I'm going to ask him the top 5 questions. So as you have your conversations with realtors and investors, say, hey, what are your top questions you have for this attorney or whatever, right? The third one is I'm getting smarter than you. This is by far the least used one, the least used way of authority. You can say, listen, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm getting a little bit smarter every single day. I'm talking to new investors, new property managers, whatever. So always ask yourself, if you're looking at issues with positioning, that's your problem. The target does not believe that you're smarter than them. They don't believe that you know people smarter than them, and they don't believe that you're getting smarter than them. They have to believe one or all 3 of those things in order for you to have positioning, to have compliance. So this is what we're doing with the, you'll see us do this. You pack it with interviews. It'll be helpful. The top thing, again, like I said, like Steve Jobs said, the number one thing is that you're creating a guide that is, for example, our property management. Any landlord, anybody that owns any property in Indiana or in Indianapolis, this is the absolute most comprehensive guide to all property management questions regarding Indiana. So what do you want to do? You want to have that. You want to have interviews with attorneys. You want to have different property managers. You want to have all this stuff, downloadable forms, spreadsheets, Excels, rent calculators, ROI things, all kinds of stuff. Our previous page used to have all that stuff. Now we're going to move that stuff over. But this is the stuff you want to have. And again, you're doing it. You're going to slowly add to it, knowing it's going to take you 2 to 3 years to, really pick up all the steam that you need from SEO and all that stuff. Don't worry about that stuff. The top thing is when somebody comes into your world, somebody who is a Indiana property manager or Indiana property owner, right? Does that page solve all their questions? Does it answer all their issues? That's what you should focus on, as long as it's doing that. And the other thing is that we want to have record. Okay, so this is another thing. The best way of building this page, you look at a page like that SEO page that Neil Patel did or the motivated seller page, just ask yourself, man, the amount of time it took to put that together. We just had to revamp that, by the way, so we're updating it. But just think about the amount of time and effort it takes to put that together. It's like that alone. I want people to feel that way. Like they feel like they're playing against a computer, right? That's too intimidating. But in reality, here's the secret to doing that. Record your compliance curve and your education material on a schedule. So say, you know what, 1 hour a week, I'm just going to do an interview 1 hour a week, half hour a week, the other half hour, I'm going to actually put this up on the website. I'm going to do whatever, right? That's all you do. Set it, forget it. Everybody I talk to in the meantime I'm going to make sure they get benefit out of that page. The other thing, the Paul Graham, the Y Combinator co-founder of the famous Silicon Valley startup and incubator accelerator program, he said that the biggest secret to the entrepreneurs who make it, he said, it's understanding that when you start out with an idea, you may think it's X, but the secret is in calibrating and realizing, you know what, I thought X was the big thing, but really it's Y over here. It's this other thing over here, Y Combinator, right? It's this other thing that I didn't see when I started, right? And that's what you've got to realize. The way of profit is not going to be obvious. I never would have thought that you could make, $1 million a year so easily from a page like the People page or from the Motivated Seller page. I didn't realize that. I just wanted to make, again, the mission, the hook. Your question here, whatever industry, whatever business you're in, do you want to make a page for all, the ice cream eaters of Tennessee, for example, the most comprehensive page on anyone who buys ice cream in Tennessee? Is that exciting to you? Is that something that pulls the best version out of you? If it doesn't do that, find something that does, a mission, a hook that does, because then you put together that schedule, once a week interview or whatever that you're going to do to add content, right? To add education. And you're just going to be into it because you're really into it and it's helping your people. That alone will create all kinds of opportunities as you move forward. So have 77s added with regularity and then have them use the page live. Whatever page this is, always ask them, hey, what would make this better? How would this, I made this page for X people to solve X problem. Is it doing that for you? If it's not, how can I make sure it's doing that? Every RIA in America basically has a list of people you should contact for whatever. But most of those people are LCs because most of the RIA people are LCs. And if you call them or you call them, they're not going to call you back. I've been saying this ever since I was a teenager and I trained realtors. I was like one of the youngest trainers and I thought, oh, it's such a big deal. Then I got there. I was like, man, these are the laziest dickheads I've ever seen. No wonder it's so easy to get rich. As a realtor, if you return phone calls, number one, number two, clear your voicemail, and number three, don't lie, right? So don't say, oh, the basement's fine and there's dead bodies down there. As long as you do those three things, you are ahead of most real estate investors. Again, or most real estate agents, also most real estate investors, but real investors even worse. Call 100 real estate investors, 90 of them won't even call you back. And if they do, it's going to be like a VA that calls you back. They're not going to do anything. It's an amazing thing for real estate agents. Just return phone calls, clear your voicemail, and don't lie. And you're ahead of 50% of realtors, right? These people don't do anything. Most, especially in America, everyone's this is like holiday weekends, people take off or people take off the weekends. It's so easy to outshine people because they're dimming themselves. So and that's when people will come to you. They're like, oh my gosh, you should have a page where somebody goes to that page. They're like, holy shit, this guy is all about X. He's all about this, whatever it is, dirt bikes or whatever it is. And anytime I want to do anything about this, I got to talk with this guy. I got to connect with these guys, right? Most important, follow up and make sure they win with that page. This is the most important thing of everything I'm saying right now is you've got to incessantly follow up with everybody that goes there and make sure that they win, right? Look at the testimonials, the feedback that Ann and all these other guys are getting. They're just like blown away. Like people are like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for all the help and the guidance. You didn't even make any money. And I appreciate the help. Yeah, no problem. No problem. You come into us with any problem, we're going to knock it off the phone or not stop until you get that problem solved. Whether we make money or not a problem, because we want to make sure that page, that our stuff, that our material actually solves that issue. GXM and not focus on the money, more on the user experience. This is the top thing to look at. So 7 steps to doing this. First, create a solid mission hook. It all starts with that. What do you want this page to do? 2 is have a table of contents. List every possible resource, every downloadable, every checklist, every worksheet, every Excel. What do they need? What is someone who goes there? Just start listing it. Maybe that's what you do for one of the weeks. We want to have some progress on this at least once, every week, at least one day a week. Maybe the first week, all you do is come up with just a rough table of content. You write that table of contents out and you tell people, hey, listen, let me know what you think I should add to it. This is all very fluid, right? 3, pack it with interviews from the first 3 to 5 pages of Google for whatever your keyword is. Record your compliance curve and education on a schedule. From now on, every Monday at 4, you record or you do something, some education material. And at first, do it. Everything great that happens on a schedule. Do it on a tight schedule at first. Answer a question, if nothing else. Just answer one question every week. Have 77s added with regularity. Doesn't matter what business, what industry you're doing. All you need is a list of 77s. That is really all your business is. And have them use the page live. So take your 77s, say, hey, whatever challenge you had, did this solve that problem? Did this solve that issue that you had? And if it didn't, what would? And maybe it did solve that issue, but it wasn't such a big problem as I thought it was. Well, then what would be a bigger challenge, a bigger issue that we can solve? Most important, follow up with your people. Make sure that they win, that they use the page, that they win. Or if they don't use the page, you follow up with somebody else and you add them to that page, or you find a way to incorporate that solution that you found. And GXM, just volunteer at least 1 hour a week and just volunteer for these companies or for these people. Say, you know what, I'm just trying to just volunteer and help people out. Don't focus on the money, more on the user experience. What happens when they use this page? You do those 7 things and you will make $1 million at least a year on a page, not a website. This is much smaller, one web page. If you do the math on this, are you really saying, Azam, that there's multiple web pages on this one website that gets almost no traffic that are making over $1 million? Yes, that is happening now. We're on track for that. And it's going to be happening even more. And the next few ones, you're going to get to tag along and see us through the whole process from A to Z. Thank you so much. I love you.